What's up, guys? We'll just continue with the previous video, where I was mentioning, well, just continue the video. Well, just talking about Liverpool and Newcastle. Obviously, saying that Jurgen Klopp is going to be moving on from the bad performance, but got the result, got the win. He'll be moving on from the performance with all 3 points, and then he will be trying to get a great performance from the guys at the weekend. Now it did spring back to my mind who they're playing. They're playing Everton at Goodison Park, and it's a 12:30 kickoff UK time, so it's 1:30 South African Standard Time, Merseyside derby. So that's their next fixture on Saturday. So basically it's a lunchtime kickoff. So basically, I think it doesn't really help dwelling too much on the performance. It's all about the win, really, for Liverpool, because they got the win. Because if they drew that game, they would have 6 points from a possible 15. Because it would be 5 games and 6 points. That wouldn't be good enough, really. I mean, that's like you've dropped for like 9 points already. So far the season. So he's just gonna take the W and get out of there and basically go on to the next game. And now it's just a matter of trying to be consistent. Can you get another win on the board? And possibly get the performance. But again, if he wins against Everton and doesn't really perform well, he won't care, because at the end of the day, really the important thing is winning the game to make sure that you get points on the board, and then your performance will gradually improve as time goes on. So I think that was the Newcastle Liverpool game. Obviously, Arsenal continued their 100% start to the season. They've won 5 games from the first 5 games. And they beat Aston Villa yesterday 2-1. Obviously, I didn't watch the performance because I was watching the City game. Basically, I just know that Jesus scored, and I think who else? Martinelli. Martinelli. And then for Villa, Douglas Luiz scored, who ironically is now wanted by Arsenal. He scored from a direct corner actually. So it was a good corner from him. But I think the Villa were unlucky to get that goal because there was an Aston Villa player who was pinning Ramsdale. So he was basically holding on to Ramsdale when the corner was coming, and then Ramsdale couldn't move basically. So I thought that was a bit harsh on Arsenal. In that was basically given as a goal, because I thought he is holding on to the goalkeeper, so surely the goalkeeper gets the benefit of the doubt in that situation. That's how it usually is. That's how it usually happens. But in that case, the benefit of the doubt, I guess, was given to the attack, and then Aston Villa scored. But Arsenal obviously scored 2 goals, and then they ended up winning the game at the Emirates 2-1 against Villa. Again, great start for Arsenal to the season. I've mentioned it in my previous videos. I can obviously praise Arsenal, and I think Jesus has been a great signing for them, and he's really going to be unlucky not to get Player of the Month, but he's going to be unlucky with the fact that he's really started well. I think he has 3 goals and 3 assists in his first 5 games for Arsenal, which is a pretty good return, but he's good. He might be a nominee, but the other nominee is going to be Haaland with 9 goals. So really, it's a bit of a mismatch with regards to who's going to win there. I mean, it's like you're saying a heavyweight must compete with a lightweight, and there's only going to be one winner in that fight. I think it's been a great start to the season for Arsenal. I think a great start for Martinelli as well. It looks like he has tried to work on his finishing in the off season, because he's scoring a fair few amounts of goals. I think he has 3 goals already now so far this season, or 2 goals. So he's trying to improve his end product, which is obviously great for him and for Arsenal, because I think Martinelli is a quality player. But obviously, it's just a matter of, can he become consistent on the offensive end? Can he start scoring goals consistently? Can he start making up goals consistently? And that's the question really with him at this moment in time in his career. So it's been a really good start to Arsenal. For Arsenal so far this season. And as I've said, I am impressed with how they have kind of improved in terms of their character. They went behind against Fulham. They came back to win. They were pegged back by Aston Villa to 1-1, and they went on to win the game. So I think like they're improving in terms of their mentality, in terms of let's win at all costs. Like at all cost, let's make sure that we win this game. Even if we don't play well, let's make sure that we win this game. So that's an improvement in character. That's an improvement with the young players. It's apparent that they're playing games and they're getting more experienced as time goes by. Odegaard has really started well as the new Arsenal captain. It really looks like he's growing into a top player. He's relishing that responsibility that he has now as the skipper of the football club. So I think it's been really a good performance from Arsenal, and they've made some good signings in the window. As I've said, they're being linked with Douglas Luiz, and I think their first offer was rejected, and they've now submitted another offer to try and sign him because they're trying to add depth to the midfield. Because I think Partey and El Neni have been injured so far this season. Well, not so far, but like they've been injured. I think they were injured in the fourth game against Fulham, or they were injured before the game against Fulham. I'm not quite sure. But basically, Arsenal are trying to add some depth to their midfield to try and make sure that they don't struggle with injuries as the season goes on. So I think it's been a really great start to Arsenal's new season. But as I've said in my previous video, now I think the next step for them is to go to a big team and put on a big performance and win. When I say big team, I mean Tottenham, I mean Chelsea, I mean Liverpool, I mean City, I mean United. And actually, that actually leads us to this upcoming weekend, because they are playing Manchester United this upcoming weekend. I'm not sure where the game is. I think it's at Old Trafford, but they are going to be playing United this weekend. Now, last season, Arsenal played against United at Old Trafford, and they played better than Man United, but they lost the game because of the silly mistakes that they made. Now, have they learned from that? Can they go to a big team? And Man United have been kind of revived after that win against Liverpool. They obviously lost their first 2 games of the season. They've now won their last 2. They're going to be hoping to make it 3 on the bounce against Leicester tonight. And if they do make it 3 on the bounce, they're going to be going to that Arsenal game full of confidence, because they would now have 3 wins out of 3. And playing against Arsenal might actually suit Manchester United, because Arsenal are going to play like how Man City and Liverpool play. They're going to want to dominate the ball. That means United are going to have a lot of spaces to run in behind. And I'm pretty sure that Erik ten Hag is going to try and go with the same team that played against Liverpool. Maybe Casemiro will go on for McTominay, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing those fast-paced players in the front line. Elanga, Rashford, Sancho, or actually he might play Antony. As I said, I'm not quite sure with regards to whether Antony is quick or not, but he's going to want to play fast-paced players on the offensive line, so that on the attacking line, it's like I'm talking about American football when I'm talking about offensive line. But basically, he's going to want to play with fast-paced players, because he knows that there will be space. There will be spaces in behind the Arsenal defense, because Arsenal will want to dominate the ball and express themselves in the game. So it's going to be quite a fascinating game to look at, and I'm interested to see how Arsenal are going to perform in that game. Now, if they win, I'm not going to say they're going to challenge for the league, because it is still Man United. Man United still have to do quite a lot for us to start believing in them. Like, for you to start saying, I bet my money on Man United to make top 4, they have to do more. They can't just win against Liverpool and Southampton and then we pretend like they're going to kind of now challenge for the league or whatever. They still have a long way to go in order for them to be able to do that. But I think it might just be the perfect game for Man United against Arsenal, because there will be spaces in behind the defense, and they're going to try. And as long as Man United can match the opposition in terms of 50-50s and duels, they have a chance to win. Why? Because they have quality players in their squad. No matter how bad the Man United players have been, they've got quality. It's not a coincidence that they're playing for Man United. I know Man United have been pretty bad in previous seasons, but they are still Man United. They don't sign mediocre players that are going to get relegated, because they are still Man United. They still have the pull to pull top players to their club. Sancho is a player with talent. Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen. So I think it might just be the perfect game for Man United playing against Arsenal. Why? Because they're going to be playing against a team that's going to leave spaces in behind. Because Arsenal are going to want to attack, and Arsenal are going to want to dominate possession in the game. Arsenal are going to want to impose themselves in the game, and therefore it's going to be a really, really good game between them and Man United. But obviously, if Man United go back to their old habits of not working hard, not pressing, not competing for 50-50s, they're going to get well beaten by Arsenal. But if they perform like how they performed against Liverpool, they're going to have a chance to win the game, because they will get a few chances against Arsenal, because Arsenal are not going to play a low block. They're going to try and attack Man United, and therefore that means Man United are going to have chances in the game. So it's going to be a fascinating game to watch with regards to Arsenal. As I've already said, I've praised them. I've given them a lot of praise. They've really performed well, but they have not played the top teams. I want to see how they do against the top teams in order for me to kind of say, okay, I've already said Arsenal are going to make top 4. And that's just, that's how far I'm willing to go with regards to Arsenal. I don't think they're capable of competing for the league. I still think it's, I've already said, I think my number 1 is going to be Man City and my number 2 is going to be Liverpool. I don't care how Liverpool have been bad at the start of the season. I'm not going to change my prediction. I still back Liverpool to compete because, I mean, they still have a great squad. So I think they will find form, especially when they get all of their players back, because you can't forget that Jota, Thiago, Konate, Keita, like those are like already 4 first-team players. Those guys are all injured at this moment in time. So they are going to be back at some point during the season. So I think it would be foolish to kind of write Liverpool off and say they're not going to make top 4 or whatever, because I think it's still too soon to say that about Liverpool. They have enough credit in the bank with regards to how they performed in previous seasons for us to still believe in them. I know they've been bad. I know they've lost Mane, but Liverpool are still a top team, and I don't think like Arsenal are now all of a sudden better than Liverpool. I'm not there yet. I know the Arsenal fans are really jumping up and down, and they think they're going to win the league, and they've had a great start to the season. I'd say just pump the brakes a little bit. It's still a long season. The season is 9 months. We are just basically we're starting the 2nd month now. So it's still very, very early to start saying that like you're going to win the league because you've won your first 5 games. Actually, last season, Tottenham Hotspur won their first 4 games and they ended up scraping for top 4. So I think like that's kind of a good indication of how long the season is, and like winning the league is all about consistency. Like that's what I was saying about the Champions League and the Premier League. You might be an inconsistent team and find your form at the right time and win the Champions League. But if you are inconsistent in the league, you are not going to win it, because there will be a team that will be more consistent than you. Whereas the Champions League is different because it's knockout football. So great result for Arsenal against Villa. But yeah, obviously it's all about the next step for Arsenal in terms of imposing themselves against the big teams now. And then going on to the other game that played yesterday, which is the Tottenham Hotspur game. Now, Tottenham Hotspur were great in the first half. Again, I didn't watch it. I was just hearing from a Spurs fan on YouTube. There's like a show I watched called The Sports Bar on TalkSport. It's like a radio show in England. They said basically they really looked good in the first half against West Ham, and they obviously scored in the first half. But then second half, they were not at the races. They were lethargic. They were moving the ball slow, and they just couldn't find a spark. And West Ham created chances and they scored. And then obviously the game ended up being 1-1 really. And from what I've heard, it's pretty much a fair result based on the fact that Tottenham dominated the first half, but West Ham dominated the second half. So it's kind of a game of 2 halves where the other team played well in the first half but didn't play well in the second half. And then the other team played well in the second half and did play well in the first half. It was a great goal from Souček, actually, Thomas Souček, the West Ham player. I did see that goal. Also did see the Spurs goal. It was an own goal, actually. But it was a great goal from West Ham, from Thomas Souček. So obviously Spurs this season again, they are another team where I did put them in my top four, but I still think they are not capable they're not capable to put up the consistent levels that have been set by Manchester City and Liverpool, because that's what you want to win the league. That's the litmus test. If you want to see whether you can win the league or not, you have to put up the consistent levels of Man City and the consistent levels that have been set by Manchester City and Liverpool in previous seasons. If you get less than 90 points, you're not winning the league. You might actually finish third. So I don't think Spurs are going to get 90 plus points this season, and therefore I'm not necessarily sure whether they can challenge for the league. In fact, I don't think they will challenge for the league. I'm going to be bold about it. I don't think they will challenge for the league, but I did put them in my top four because I think they have a great manager in Antonio Conte, and they have a few world-class players in their team, Harry Kane being one of them. So they, even though they might not play well, they can win a lot of games because they have a top striker, and Son is also another top player. And they've added Richarlison to add to their squad depth. They've added Perisic. They've added Bissouma. So I think it's been an okay start to Tottenham's season so far. They have, I think, 11 points from the first 15 available, which is a pretty good return, considering the fact that they also played Chelsea, which they drew against. Because I think they have 3 wins and 2 draws. So that's 11 points from the first 15. They're third behind City and Arsenal, who have 13 points and 15 points, basically. So I think it's been an okay start to Tottenham, or a good start, I should say, because I mean, I don't think at the start of the season it's all about getting your rhythm and try and getting a few wins on the board. So if you third after the first 5 games and you've scored a fair amount of goals, you haven't looked shaky on defense, and you have 3 wins, you have 2 draws, I think that's a pretty decent start. I think Antonio Conte is going to be content about the start that they've had, but from just a perspective of can they win the league, I don't think so. But I do have them in my top 4 because I think Conte is a top manager, and he expects high standards from his team, and you can see that from the way Tottenham play, because Tottenham always compete in every game that they play. They don't get outworked, they don't get outrun, and that's the philosophy of Antonio Conte. That all comes from the manager. It all comes from Antonio Conte. So I think, it's been a good start. It's been an okay start, decent start to the season for Tottenham. Not a great result yesterday for them against West Ham, but it was a fair result on the grand scheme of things, based on the fact that Tottenham didn't really play to win. Their performance didn't deserve a win. That's the best way to put it. Their performance yesterday did not deserve a win, and therefore it was an okay it was a fair result on both sides. West Ham deserved a draw, and Tottenham deserved a draw in the game. I think that there's not much I can say. There's not much more I can say about that game. Obviously, I've already mentioned that Man United are going to be playing tonight, and I'm going to do a review on the Man United game Man United game tomorrow. They're going to be playing Leicester. But that brings us to the end of the video, because I've spoken about City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham. So I'm going to talk about Man United tomorrow. But thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. And also, please like the video. Please push the thumbs up button to like the video. And please push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. Thank you for the support. And also, please comment in the comment section below if you have any points that you would like to add to the points that I've already made. So if you have some things that you would like to add, you can add them. I would love it if you would comment in the video, just for me to get some feedback. But thank you for watching the video, and have a great evening, guys.